मसनत पे बिठाए जाएंगे, सब ताज उछाले जाएंगे, सब तख्त गिराए जाएंगे, हम देखेंगे। लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे। बस नाम रहेगा अल्लाह का, बस नाम रहेगा अल्लाह का, जो गायब भी है हाजिर भी, जो मंजर भी है नाजिर भी, उठेगा अनल हक का नारा, जो मैं भी हूँ और तुम भी हो, और राज करेगी खल्क़े खुदा, जो मैं भी हूँ और तुम भी हो, हम देखेंगे। लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे। लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे। वो दिन के जिसका वादा है हम देखेंगे, जो लौहे अज़ल में लिखा है हम देखेंगे। लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे।
But it is more a victory of history and of the people on the right side of the history. I congratulate Asif Bhai and Muhammad Meherban for giving us this victory in the form of a treasure. When I first saw the book, it brought back powerful memories that I want to relive. But as I turned the pages, the horror unfolded in front of my eyes. But I did not want to turn away. I watched it till the very end. It is the blood that glows red and shouts Azadi louder after being spilled. It's the blood of the martyrs, unseparated from the pain, the suffering, the betrayal and the injustice that comes with it and that lies with it, and that even haunts us till today. Before I end, I cannot but caution us all again to continue resisting in the face of forgetfulness, against developing amnesia about our friends who continue to fight a long battle in jail. Today I cannot but mention the emptiness of not seeing the faces of Miran, Umar Bhai, Khalid Bhai, my dear friend Gulfisha, Shafa Bhai and so many others whose names I want to take, but I might not be able to because of paucity of time. I wish these winds would carry my Krantikari salam to their jails. I wish that, they could hear me. I wish they could feel the longing that I feel to see them here again. In the end, I would just want to congratulate Asif Bhai, Meherban Bhai, all of you in these dark times for being here, because that again is also a sign of resistance.
Like, we remember every single thing that happened. What happened on 7th of December. What happened on 10th of December in Aligarh Muslim University. What happened on 13th of December at Jamia Millia Islamia. And then what happened at Aligarh Muslim University and Jamia Millia Islamia on 15th of December. How Shaheen Bagh came to exist. How it was an effort of Sharjeel Imam and Asif Mustaba. We remember the violence that followed in UP. We remember the resistance that started from these two Muslim campuses and how it sprung up like mushrooms all over the country. We remember everything all too well. And this photo book forces us to keep on remembering. It reminds us. It forces us to not look away. The brutality that happened, the powerful images of the resistance of Muslims of India. It's important to understand the importance of these images. Most of the time what happens is that these images, especially images of brutality, images of violence, they are normalized to the extent that we it does not really, we are left emotionless. No one bats an eye, no one thinks something wrong is happening, that this should not have happened to Minhajuddin who lost his eye. No one thinks that it's a problem that the state machinery, that the state is using police and along with rioters and arsonists burning down houses, lynching people to death, lynching Muslims to death in northeast Delhi. And what this photo book does is that it forces us to look at these images with our own eyes, and it fills our eyes with so many emotions. An emotion of victory like Sakura Appa just talked about, and an emotion of extreme anger that we are not going to let this violence be normalized. And it's very important to understand that these images that are all around and the photo book, this is a way of us to remember, to remind ourselves that we are not going to let these kind of things happen again and again, and also remind us of the resistance, of the powerful images that came out. I mean, does anyone remember the image of Ladida Farzana and Aisha Rena and Chanda Yadav standing in Jamia Millia Islamia on 12th of December's night, raising their hands like this? It was so shocking for everyone in India that Muslim women that such a powerful image of a Muslim woman is possible inside India. Everyone was surprised, and that is the power of these images. I also want to talk about one particular image that is to me one of the most powerful images that have come out of the anti-CAA protests and the violence that followed. It's the image of Shah Rukh Pathan. Everyone uses that image to further criminalize the Muslim community, but that image is nothing but purely self-defense. That image is of a Muslim man wanting to defend his community, wanting to defend his sister when there is a mob coming to attack him. These images are very important to us, and that is why we want to remember these images. We want to solidify these images. We want every single person to hold this book in their own hands and to see these images with their own eyes and to feel the grief, the pain of being a Muslim in India. And also realize the power that Muslims hold within themselves. To start to pass the mic to us. To start to let us tell our stories. And this is exactly what this book does. I want to congratulate Asif Bhai and Meherbhan Bhai for curating this very important book. I don't know if it's as important for everyone, but this very book is very important for the Muslim community. It documents, it remembers the sacrifices that were made, and it remembers the resistance, and it reminds us that we are capable of challenging the state the way that we did in December 2019, in January 2019, 2020. I also want to talk about the people who are the crux of this entire movement. I want to talk about Shazil Imam, I want to talk about Mira and Heather, about Shifa Rahman Bhai, and why we need to remember them today, because today is the day of remembrance. We remember the resistance, we remember the art of this resistance. These images by these photographers, photojournalists, they remind us, and we should not forget a single bit that happened. From 7th of December to this day and to the days that are to follow. We remember every single thing all too well, and we refuse to forget. We refuse to forget the grief, we refuse to forget the anger, and we refuse to forget that we have power within us.
In each moment, the images, the photographs, it actually is an integral part of a movement. We know that the videos of George Floyd and how it energizes the Black Lives Matter movement in all over the world. There is a film in it's like a film I watched very long before. The film name I forgot, but something called The Photographer of Mauritania. Something. It's a film on a kind of Nazism which was there in Spain. It's called Francoism. Franco was a dictator in Spain, and he used all Nazi tactics to control the population there. And he have a good connection with Hitler, and he actually given people to the concentration camps in Germany. And in that film, there is a dialogue. It's like a photographer. His name is Franz. His name is Francis. In the film, it's called as Franz. And in the dark room where there is images, where they take the images in the concentration camp. So in the dark room, the photographer asks the warden, "Can I take these all images in negatives?" So, but the warden saying that you have to paint some images. So the Franz is asking, why I have to paint the images? Because images is a real thing. It shows the reality. So the warden says an important point that we are not here for reality. We are here for a point of view. It's like that is the basic of fascism or Nazism, the kind of ideology which is running in India, that they don't talk about reality. They have a point of view. If you are seeing a Muslim here, if you are seeing a Dalit here, if you are seeing an Adivasi here, if you are seeing an OBC person here, so at that moment they'll be having a point of view. They don't want to even to interact with you. They don't even want to talk to you. They don't want to even to have a tea with you. But at the moment they will be having a point of view. That is the fascism one. But the book like by my friends Meherban and Asif Mustafa, what actually does is to document. And this documentation is also very important. If you see in now, even I think the Indian government once proposed that in a global convention that against the narrative of Holocaust. There are many such narratives there that Holocaust didn't happen. Maybe after some time, people will say the anti-CAA movement didn't happen, the Northeast Delhi pogrom didn't happen, but this photo book, this documentation is a clear-cut reality and clear-cut evidence for the in the history to showcase, to resist, to protest, and to give an evidence that these things happened in India. So this is very important as a documentation. And the second thing is that representation. We always the kind of narrative which is always given for Muslims, whether it is by the mainstream parties like Congress, everybody is like ready to give the narrative of Muslims as victims, sometimes, and the other side as villains. This is the two narratives which Muslims can like fit into, whether it is a villain, whether it is a victim. But the Asif Mustafa or Meherban, these are the very young journalists or activists or organizers. But they are not fit into your narratives of victims or villains. They are actually their agency to showcase. It's not to showcase some kind of representation. It's not that I didn't feel that Meherban or Asif Mustafa did this thing to feel some kind of representation. It's the new generation, the youth, the educated, the youth, Muslims in India in the current times, their anger, their spirit, their power, their braveness is not to fit into the narrative, the mainstream narrative of the villain and victim. And they are going far away from the representation game. which is like calling, if you are having any programs, they will call some of the other Muslim guy in the stage, and okay, and they will say there is, okay, Muslims biryani is very good and the ghazals are very good, Muslim houses are very beautiful. So this kind of Islamophilia kind of narrative, okay, Muslims in this way is good. But when it is to come to a political representation, when it comes to a political organization, when it comes to the cultural field or the political field, but at that time they will say, no, you cannot do a kind of a political activism your own. You cannot do a kind of political organizing by your own. Because you have to fit into the secular narrative, the burden narrative of secularism versus communalism. And I feel this activity, this book itself is a post-secular. I will call it a post-secular book. Why I am calling this is a post-secular book? Muslims always have this burden of defending secularism. They have to vote in UP election is going to come, and Muslims always have this burden. We have to vote to some the so-called parties to protect the secularism. But this book, I will say that it is even here. I will say it's like in Quran there is ayat. You have the God gave you heart, in which that heart you are not thinking. God gave you eyes, in which that eyes you are not seeing. The God gave you ears, and which that ears which you are not hearing. But these are two believers, Muslim believers, youngsters, young students. Their act itself is a post-secular act. It's not a secular act. It's a very post-secular act. The courage, it's a very the courage which they are getting from a religious point of view, which talking about justice. It is talking about the justice for the marginalized sections. So I will say that when you take a camera, when Mehraban take a camera and he is going to the places like Northeast Delhi to showcase the photos, and when an image comes, when something like that comes, there is a dilemma: what to shoot? What to shoot? Can I shoot everything? What to show to the people? So this is what actually made Mehraban to shoot certain things and to show certain things to the people. It's his ethical understanding of social justice. There is an ethical point. It's not in your understanding of secularism versus communalism. I will call it's a post-secular religious divine activity he did by documenting these photos, and I congratulate. There is a new generation of activists, organizers, photojournalists, PhD students, which is coming from the marginalized sections, and they are not into there is in Malcolm X. I will end with this Malcolm X understanding of house Negro and then ground Negro. He called about ground Negro. This ground Negroes always talk when a master wears a good dress, the ground Negro will say, oh, this is a very good dress. When a ground Negro see a master is having some food and he is giving his waste to the ground Negro, he will say, oh, it's a very tasty food. Oh, then if his master is staying in a room, a very good room, and in a house, and the slave is staying in the sideline of that room and outside in the cold winter, but the slave will say, oh, this is a very house, I am feeling very good. But this is these are house Negroes, these are house Muslims. Now we came outside and we represent ourselves, we document ourselves, we talk about ourselves, and we have an understanding that all marginalized sections in India, we have to come together, whether it is Dalits, whether it is OBCs, whether it is women, whether it is Muslim, and they are coming together, and we will fight against this injustice, and we have that confidence. Thank you.